Hi everyone, Akif here, Head of the GAMSAT program at Fraser's. Hope you're all well. Now in this video, I'm going to answer two key questions when it comes to the GAMSAT, using my years of teaching in the space and seeing thousands of students sit the exam at Fraser's. Okay, number one, what is the GAMSAT exam and what should you expect as a candidate on exam day? And then number two, what is the purpose of each section? And thus, what is the GAMSAT truly testing overall? Okay, but let's start with question one first of all. What is the GAMSAT? Now, the GAMSAT is one of three criteria that you need to enter into medical or dental school. Okay, when you apply for these schools, you need number one, your GPA from your degree, number two, your GAMSAT score, and then number three, a strong interview performance, which comes after the GAMSAT. Okay, so the GAMSAT is one of three things you need in this space. Okay, now the GAMSAT exam happens across a usually 5 to 6 day period twice a year. There's one sitting in March, sort of late March, and there's another one in early September. Okay, now for each of you, the GAMSAT exam will happen on one day. Across that 5, 6 day period, you get to pick one day. You say, hey, I want to do it on Tuesday, or I'll do it on Thursday, or whichever day. Okay, what happens is you have to arrive at the external test center at about 8 a.m. Okay. Now it takes about 1 hour for everyone to sign in, mark the roll and whatnot. You sit down at a desk. At the desk, there's already a computer there, right? Computer, keyboard, and so on. And there's dividers. There's about 50 to 75 students in the room, typically speaking, sometimes more, depending on how big each testing center is. And what happens is the exam starts about 9 o'clock. It's 5 hours and 15 minutes of exam time, all on a computer. All right. But there is a 1 hour lunch break in between as well, too. So you can expect to be leaving the test center at about 3:30 to 4 p.m. local time. Okay. But you have to arrive at the test center at 8 o'clock in the morning. All right. Now, the GAMSAT happens across Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, other places in Europe, Asia as well, too. It is a global exam as well, too, looking at about 15 to 20,000 candidates who sit the exam every single year. Okay, now that's a bit on what the exam is. Those are the basics, but I want to talk more specifically about what each section tests. Okay, and we're going to start first of all with section one. So, section one is the comprehension section of the GAMSAT. You'll see on my screen right now, I'm on our LMS, and there's a text on the left here, and then there's questions on the right here, which obviously I can answer and then move on and answer more questions. Okay. Section one is the comprehension section of the GAMSAT. It's 100 minutes and 62 questions. Okay, it gives you about 95 to 97 seconds a question. All right. Now, sometimes a lot of students ask me, hey, Keith, the GAMSAT is a pre-medical entrance examination. Why is there comprehension, reasoning in the humanities and social sciences here in the GAMSAT? Okay. Now, the answer is quite simple. The GAMSAT is not your typical uni exam. It's not focused on how much content you can memorize or exactly how many questions you get correct. It's more focused on how you think as a person. It's a psychometric exam. That means it's measuring your psyche, measuring your mind, measuring who you are and the way you think as a person. Okay. This means rather than just seeing if you get all the questions correct, they're more interested in seeing what skills you're showing as you get these questions correct. Okay, so for example, in section one, there are various skills: critical thinking, logical reasoning, argument deconstruction. Okay, all these skills, they assess how well you answer questions based on these different skill sets. Okay, and the true purpose of section one, why it's in your GAMSAT exam, is quite simple. They give you a text and then they ask you questions about the text. They don't want your opinion. They don't want what you think about the text. They want to know what the author said. You know, what did they say in this line or what did they say in this text? They're testing quite simply your ability to listen. Okay, very important. Listen to a variety of perspectives. Okay, as a future medical health professional, you'll be exposed to patients from all different backgrounds, areas, manners of speeches, and whatnot. You need to be able to listen to what each person is saying. Okay, and that's what section one tests. Can you read a passage, put your biases to the side, and answer questions logically based on what you see? Okay, so if you're wondering, hey, why is comprehension in my GAMSAT exam? It's because they're testing your psychometric ability to listen to others, to understand what people are saying, and to not bring in biases, but rather focus on what you hear. Okay, that's section one. Okay, so that's the first section of the GAMSAT. 62 multiple choice questions, 100 minutes, just like you see on my screen here. Okay, now let's move on to section two. Okay, again, I'm just on the phrases LMS now for section two. Section two comes after section one. There is no break. There's no 10-minute break where you can stretch your legs and whatnot. You finish section one, they wait a couple, maybe 2-3 minutes, and they say your section two is beginning now. Okay. Now, section two is called written communication in the humanities and social sciences, whereas section one was reasoning and it was about reading. Section two is about writing, or more specifically, typing. Okay. You have to type 2 pieces of writing in 65 minutes of exam time. And keep in mind, you're typing on a foreign computer, not your own laptop where you know the keyboard quite well, but a foreign computer. So there are some typos. It takes a bit longer to type as well, too. But essentially what happens in section two is they give you 2 tasks. One task A, and there's 4 quotes, as you can see here, and one task B, and again, there's 4 quotes, as you can see here. Now, what you have to do is you have to develop a piece of writing that responds to these prompts here, to these comments, okay? So if you read these comments, for example, if you read these comments here and we think they're about forgiveness, right? Then I need to develop a piece of writing, whether it's an essay or a creative or a poem, that's up to me, but I need to develop a piece of writing in response to forgiveness, something about forgiveness as a central theme, okay? So 2 essays or pieces of writing in 65 minutes. And it comes right after section one. So just think about how good you are when it comes to typing essays or typing creatives after you do 100 minutes of reading. Okay, but that's section two. And let's just think about the purpose psychometrically of section two. Again, we might wonder, students ask me, why is essay writing in the exam? Well, it's quite simple. Section one tests your ability to listen. Section two is testing your ability to express thoughts, express opinions about the world. Because as a future medical health professional, you need to be able to communicate as well too. Okay, so section one is about listening, section two is about expressing. Okay, and I'm noticing a trend in recent times in the GAMSAT where section one and two are quite important, right? Medical health, the industry is looking for more well-balanced individuals, not someone who's only good at maths, but also is able to listen to others, express their opinions, and understand the world around it. Okay, so that's the purpose behind section one and two, right? Now, after you finish section two, you'll have a 1-hour lunch break. Okay, usually around sort of 11:30-ish, roughly, depending on how your invigilators are going. Okay, but you have a 1-hour lunch break. Okay, and typically we always recommend phrases for students to bring their lunch. But then after lunch, you then start section three. Now, section three is all about sciences. Okay, it's natural science, it's about biology, chemistry, physics. Okay, it's 75 multiple choice questions in 150 minutes. So it's 2.5 hours. So it's a longest section. Section one was 100, section two was 65, section three is 150, 2.5 hours. Again, that adds up to 5 hours and 15 minutes. All right. Now, section three, as you can see here, is all about graphs, pathways, formulas, maths. It's testing, if we think about the purpose behind it, your ability to understand and apply scientific concepts. Okay, because you might be a great listener in section one and a great expresser and communicator in section two, but also considering you're aspiring to enter the medical health field, you need to have a good idea or a good grasp of how pathways work, how formulae work, how to do maths properly, right? How to interpret graphs and tables correctly, because this will be important as you move forward in med school and your future career as well too. Okay. So this is the purpose behind section three. Section one and two test the more the humanities side of things, you're listening and you're expressing. Section three tests your aptitude when it comes to applying scientific concepts and knowledge. Okay. But if you add all the sections together, now we have a better idea on what the GAMSAT truly is. Okay. It's not a necessarily flawed exam. I hear that argument a lot all the time. Like, why is the GAMSAT testing comprehension? Why are we typing essays and whatnot, right? But again, that's more of a uni exam mindset to think that exams are about memorizing content. The GAMSAT is not about memorizing content. Rather, it's about testing your psyche, testing the way you think, testing the way you listen, express, and also understand scientific concepts. So I hope this video here has given you a great idea in terms of what is the GAMSAT, what is the purpose of each section, and what is it really testing overall. Okay, jump onto our website, look out for more videos from us, more information about the GAMSAT and how you should prepare for it moving forward. Catch you all very, very soon.